Hey guys, what is up? Long time no see. I know it's been forever since I made a video for this channel. As you guys know, I'm pretty sure y'all know, I did have my daughter. She was born on March 19th. So that was like 2.5 weeks ago because today is Wednesday, April 5th. So that was 2.5 weeks ago that she was born. So this video, if you haven't guessed it already, it is going to be all about my labor and my delivery story. So it is pretty crazy. This is probably going to be a long video. I'm sorry, but you can always skip around. You guys know that. But the labor and delivery story was nothing at all like what I had expected. It definitely was nothing like when I had my first daughter, Briella. And by the way, I will show Tabby a little bit later on in the video, unless if she wakes up before then, because right now I did try to put her down for a nap, but she's been kind of fussy today. So if she wakes up, I'll show her to you. Otherwise, it'll be before we wrap up the video. But if you're interested in this video and you're excited for it, don't forget to go ahead and leave a thumbs up. And later on, leave your comments below, subscribe if you're not already, and let's get into the video. Okay, so I had been wondering for like most of my third trimester, was I gonna have to be induced? Because my thoughts were telling me that I was probably gonna have her late, but I wasn't sure. So the whole time I was thinking maybe I'd have to be induced or something. Because when I went to my last doctor's appointment, which I think was on March 16th, I wanna say, they said I was 2 centimeters dilated. So I'm thinking that I might have her soon, but I wasn't sure. But for some reason in my brain, it kept telling me I was gonna maybe have to get an induction. I didn't know, but I was kind of scared of induction, so I wasn't sure. But the morning of, I think it was the day after St. Patrick's Day, so Saturday, the morning of March 18th, my labor technically started, but I didn't really know that I was in labor. I woke up around 6 and I basically had, what was like regular run-of-the-mill period cramps. Nothing too severe, but it's been a minute since I had my period, so I wasn't really used to it, but it wasn't too severe. I was actually able to get up, take a shower, brush my teeth, do all that good stuff, because in my mind, I had the cramps, but thought I was tripping, but they were actually regular. I did use a contraction timer on my phone to time them. They were regular. I was like, what the heck? Like they weren't like contractions at that point, but they were basically like period cramps that were kind of intense, but they were regular. That was the thing that was getting to me. I was like, these are regular. So let me get up, do what I have to do. And even though I was in pain, I had this strong instinct of get yourself ready, get everything ready, finish the bag, because the bag was mostly packed, as you did see in my last YouTube video. But I did have a few things I told you guys I was going to add at the last minute. So I was like, get those things in there, girl, because I don't know when it's going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to happen that day, the next day, couple days, but I was like, girl, get that bag packed, because I do know with my daughter Briella, didn't have a single thing packed, and that's not something I recommend when you're in pain. I don't recommend it. So anyway, this was 6 a.m. The period cramps were pretty consistent, pretty regular from 6 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m. Okay, 4 hours of that. But I was able to kind of lay down for most of it, although that was not the most comfortable thing, but it wasn't too bad yet. 10 a.m. rolls around, boom, they stopped. I was literally able to get up, have breakfast, take care of my daughter, play with her. I even went to wash my hair. I did everything, okay? Finished packing the bag, did stuff around the house, I vacuumed, everything, you name it. But mind you, for a few days before this happened, I was feeling a little bit out of it. I have been feeling kind of strange and out of it for a while, since the end of February, if I'm being honest. And that was also when I started to have on-off cramps along with those Braxton Hicks. But this day I felt very, very out of it. I don't know how to describe it, but just really off, just an off feeling. If you've had a kid before, or if you ever do have a kid and you get to that point in your pregnancy where you're basically about to go into labor, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's an off feeling. Okay. So from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., everything was good. I would have a cramp here and there, maybe once every hour, but it really wasn't bad. And 10 p.m. rolls around, and this is when the going gets good. But not really, I guess. So the pain came back, but this time, bless you, she sneezed in the background. Bless you, Tabby. The pain came back, and this time it was bad. I was washing my hair. I was able to get through that. When I came back to my room to sit down to like lotion up and everything, that was when it got really, really intense. I had a strongest contraction I had ever had. It was bad. And I could feel a lot of pressure down below, and there was so much pressure in my rectum, which I remember pressure in my vagina. Sorry, TMI. I remember pressure in my vagina when I was in labor with Brie, but not pressure in my rectum. And I'm thinking that the reason that this labor, there was so much pressure in my rectum was because I was told that with Tabitha, her name is Tabitha Jocelyn Gray, by the way. I don't think I said that yet. I was waiting till I had her to announce the name. But yes, Tabitha, I was told that with her pregnancy, I had an anterior placenta, which means your placenta is on top of the baby. So think belly, placenta, and baby. Whereas with Brie, it was the opposite. Think belly, baby, placenta. So if your baby is towards the back, you can have more back labor, you can have more rectal labor, like more rectal pains, which I had. So I think that's why with her whole labor, I was having tons of rectal pain, okay? But it's 10, 11 p.m. I get a really strong contraction. I call my mom in. I say, Mom, I was trying to put this off, but I think we need to go to the hospital. And by the way, I was at her house when I did my hair. I do my hair at her house because our hot water runs out here. It's no joke. It's terrible. So I always do my hair at her house, okay? Because she has a good hot water system. Whatever. Anyway, I call her in the room. I say, Mom, I was trying to hold off, but I think this is the real deal. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. There's a thing called, I don't want to botch the name. It's kind of similar to early labor, but it's called, it begins with a P. It's something similar to early labor, whereas though you'll feel like you're in labor, but you're not in labor. It's like a tease. It's your body's way of saying, hey, we're going to go into labor soon. So get yourself ready. Because I think that was what I had that morning, precipitous labor, whatever it's called. Don't come at me for the name or put the name up here of what it's called or something. But that was what I had that morning. At night, it was the real deal, you guys, okay? Contractions are bad. I call my mom in. She says, yeah, we're going to the hospital. So I luckily was done my hair. I was basically dressed, ready to go. I'm glad I got it done. And so it was her, me, my dad, and Briella. We were all there. We rushed in the car. We went home because my boyfriend was at home. He had to bring out the labor bag to us so that way I could have it and a few other things I needed because I had the bag packed, but I didn't know I was going to go like into full-blown labor that night. Like I literally thought I had a day still, but apparently God had other plans, okay? So he brings out the labor bag. Pain is terrible. At this point, I can't even talk. In the morning when I had the contractions, I was able to move. I was able to talk. I was able to text. But by the time 11, 12 a.m. came, I was done. Like, I couldn't talk for shit, okay? So he brings out the bag. We get in the car. He comes with us. We go to the hospital, okay? And this is, at this point, it's like after midnight. We get to the hospital. My dad and my boyfriend came in with me. My mom waited in the car because she was the one that was driving. They don't drive. So they came in with me. They waited. It was like a good half hour for me to be checked in. But when you're in labor, you don't have to wait in the emergency room. They do take you up to triage right away. So that's a good thing. We get into triage. We get checked in. The cramps, or the contractions, I should say, had kind of eased up at this point. So I was like, okay, wait, I thought I was in labor, but maybe I'm not. But I kind of knew in the back of my mind I was probably in labor, okay? Because sometimes the contractions can go for a few minutes and then come back even stronger. That's still labor. So we get checked in. They take me to a room where you got to change into the gown, all that good stuff. They examine you. They check the baby's heart rate. For those that have never had a baby, bless you. She keeps sneezing. It's so cute. They check your heart rate, your blood pressure, the baby's heart rate, just vital signs, basically. They tell you if you're going to be admitted or not based on how dilated you are. So with Brie, when we got to the hospital, I was 6 centimeters. This time around, they checked me, I was 5 centimeters. So I was like, wow, that's the same as with Brie. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. We're 5 centimeters dilated. Definitely I'll be able to get the epidural because I got it with Brie and it was great. No side effects, took away the pain. It was blissful. Well, let me tell you guys, you would think at 5 centimeters you would be able to get an epidural, but we go back into the delivery room and I don't know what happened from here on out. I don't even know, you guys. I didn't pass out, but the pain was so bad. I said to them, I was like, this is bad. Like, can you guys hurry up? Give me the epidural. You guys, I don't know what happened once we got back to that room, but sometime between, at this point, it's got to be after 1:30 a.m. Sometime after 1:30 a.m., I went from 5 centimeters to 10 centimeters. No time for an epidural. You're done. You can't get an epidural if you're at 10 centimeters. And I don't even think you can get an epidural after, I think it's like 8 centimeters, I want to say. So if you can get to the hospital sometime before 8 centimeters, you're good. But like, I did that, but somehow, some way, this baby wanted out. Like, she wanted out, okay? Because I went from 5 to 10 centimeters in less than 2 hours. That was very fast. The pain was so terrible. My boyfriend was with me. He was holding my hand. Bless you. She sneezed again. The nurse was with me. I said, you know, I think I might have to pee. Because she was like, do you want to try to go to the bathroom before we give you, I think at this point they thought I was getting the epidural. So she was like, do you want to try to go to the bathroom? I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that because that's good, right? She was like, yeah, sure, if you feel comfortable. So they both held my hand. We tried to go to the bathroom. I didn't go to the bathroom. There was like no such thing as me going to the bathroom. I stood up. I got this horrible contraction. And I remember saying, there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure. Because like I said a few minutes ago to you guys, there was a lot of rectal pressure with this whole entire labor. And even when I was a few days postpartum, and even now still when I get gassy, I feel a lot of that gas in my rectum. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, during the labor, there was tons of rectal pressure that I don't remember with Brie. I feel like all hers was in the front. I mean, I had back labor, but this was like rectal pressure, okay? It was bad. I said to them, my rectum feels so heavy. There's so much pressure. I was like, let me just stop. I had to brace myself for the worst contraction ever. And I was like, wait, I feel something coming out of me. I was thinking, I hope that's not the baby. And boom, my water sac just breaks. My water did not break with Brie. They had to break it. But this time around, thank God it didn't break at home. But it did break in the hospital bathroom floor. It was so embarrassing and it splattered everywhere. It hurt like hell, you guys. It was terrible. So when we found out I was 10 centimeters, obviously there was no time for an epidural. My doctor comes in, which by the way, this was a doctor that I was least looking forward to delivering the baby, but you know that you get who you get when it's 2 a.m. and they have to get whoever's on call. But she wasn't too bad, not as bad as she typically is when I go in for my appointments. Bless you. But, you know, she comes in the room. She's like, okay, you're 10 centimeters. Let's get this baby out. Oh, my God, you guys. I was gripping the bed. I was on my stomach, I think, screaming out in pain. And mind you, I'm a pretty quiet person when it comes to pain. Everybody was like, why and how are you this calm when you're in labor? But by the time I got to 10 centimeters, I was not a quiet person anymore. I was gripping the bed, screaming in pain. And she's like, you got to turn onto your back because you want this baby out, right? And I was like, yeah, of course, but I can't. And I can't possibly push. Like when I gave birth to Brie, pushing was a freaking breeze. Like they told me to push. Okay, I pushed. And after a few pushes, she was out. When you're in all that pain, especially when you've had no type of pain medicine, laughing gas, epidural, spinal narcotic, nothing, pushing seems like the worst thing in the world. And it actually is. They tell you to push. But obviously, you know, we weren't getting a C-section, so I had to push. Okay, so I pushed and it was hell. And this little girl came out in 2 pushes. I don't even know how many minutes it was, but they literally said she came out in 2 pushes, and I swear, I feel like it was under 5 minutes, and then she was out. So she wanted out She came out. We got to the hospital, like I said, a little after 1, got checked in around 1:30. She was born at 3:52 a.m. and my labor was very scary. However, I know a lot of girls do natural childbirth, so I wouldn't really say that it's scary, but I guess when you're not planning on doing natural childbirth and then you have to do it without knowing that you were going to do it, it's different than the girls that plan and they want to have a natural childbirth. It's different because when you thought the whole 9 months you were getting epidural and then that happens, things are a little different. Your mind is not there, and your mind's not going to get there at 10 centimeters when it's time to get the baby out. You're just going to be scared. So that was not fun. It did scare me a bit, but the only thing I can think of is maybe next time, if we ever do have another kid, to try to go to the hospital earlier, like in the daytime, maybe like in the morning when I first had the contractions, and maybe then they could be able to give me an epidural. But I didn't want to go that early because I thought they would just send me home. But I don't know. But she was born at 3:52 a.m. I had no tearing. But you guys, you got to brace yourselves because this is going to be part 2 of my labor story where it gets scary, okay? I had a medical emergency. So I don't know how long it was. You lose track of time after your baby's born, but I want to say about 2 hours after she was born. Okay, well, I got the baby. So she's a little fussy. This may not be the best time, but everybody meet my daughter, Tabitha Jocelyn Gray. She is just the most beautiful thing. Well, her and Brie, they both were the most beautiful babies that I've ever seen. She is just, you see them? She's just adorable, and she spit up a little bit too. But yeah, so you guys, I had a medical emergency. It was probably about 2 hours after her birth. I held her, my boyfriend held her, everything was good. When I'm sitting on the bed and I feel a lot of blood coming out of me, and I know after you have a baby, you're gonna bleed a lot, but I knew something was wrong because I felt blood literally pouring out of me, like pouring and pouring and pouring. And I started to feel lightheaded a little bit. It wasn't too bad with the lightheadedness, but I started to feel kind of off. And I said to my boyfriend, can you check my butt? Like, is there blood there? He was like, yeah, there's blood. But he didn't really seem super concerned because he didn't know what was going on. He doesn't know anything about this stuff, you know. A lot of people don't. So maybe he thought it was like normal bleeding. But I knew it wasn't normal. So I paged for the nurse. She comes in and she looked worried. She was like a younger nurse. I don't know if she was new or what the situation was, but she was worried. She didn't know how to really treat it herself, so she called a few other nurses in and the doctor in as well. And they tried to stop the bleeding. They were not able to stop the bleeding. At this point, I'm losing a lot of blood. They said, yes, you are losing too much blood. You're probably having a hemorrhage. It's called a postpartum hemorrhage. That was what I had. Very scary, okay? But they couldn't get it to stop. So they called the doctor in, and she basically had to shove her hands up me and push down very, very hard on my uterus. Now, if you've never had a baby before, I want to let you guys know that if you don't get an epidural, when they come in after you have the baby regularly within the next few hours to push on your uterus, it's going to hurt like hell. They have to push on your uterus anyway, even if you don't hemorrhage. Just, it's a part of like a regulatory checkup that they do to make sure it's going down and that your uterus is getting firmer. But it really hurts if you've had no pain medication after you've had a baby. If you're hemorrhaging, on the other hand, they have to push down on it, but they have to shove their hands up you and basically manually get all that blood and that clotting out. I tell you guys, when she did that, oh my God, it was tons and tons of blood and clots that shot out of me. I could have sworn it shot across the room. I don't think it did, but it felt like it did, and it was terrible. And then she had to do that a few times, and after she did that, you guys, I wasn't feeling right. I thought I was gonna go under. Like, I didn't pass out. I've never passed out in my life, but I wasn't feeling right. I was lightheaded. It was really, really bad. My everything was getting sweaty. I was getting shaky. You guys, I had lost more than half of my blood supply. I know that what she did was something that had to be done as far as getting the clots out, but I'm thinking it was because I was already partly anemic for the pregnancy. And then I lost more than half of my blood supply because I was already bleeding, and then she had to get more blood and clots out. My blood pressure dropped to, I think the first number was 68. That's bad, you guys. That's scary. So what they had to do was they gave me, I don't know what it was, some kind of medicine, which they said brought my pressure up, and I was basically okay. But they also had to give me a blood transfusion, you guys. And that was freaking scary. And it's just so weird, you guys, because the whole pregnancy, I was scared of labor, because I already knew what it was like, but I was trying to be positive about it. And then this happened, and I am pretty much scarred for life when it comes to delivering a baby. The pregnancy, it wasn't fun, but like I said, like, I'll do it again. I got through it. I'll do it again. But that labor and birth, very, very scary. So they had to give me a blood transfusion. My blood type is O positive, so it was pretty easy for them to find a match. They gave me a blood transfusion. At this point, it's like 7:30 a.m. I started to feel a little better after they gave me the medicine, which they said helped to bring my pressure back up. But they still wanted to give me the transfusion because I had lost a ton of blood and I was already anemic, at least somewhat anemic from the pregnancy. So the blood transfusion lasted about 2 hours. They had to catheterize me, and they had to put a medicine up my front and my rectum to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit. And they clamped my uterus to stop the bleeding. And I think the catheter was also to stop the bleeding, and also because I couldn't get up to use the bathroom, obviously, and that sucked that I had to have a catheter, because I was thinking by me having a natural birth, I wouldn't have to have a catheter, which I wouldn't have, but then I had to end up getting one anyway. So it was just very scary. Very, very scary, you guys. Around 9:30, the blood transfusion was over. I woke up, and one thing I forgot to mention was that when they started to do the blood transfusion, I had severe, severe chills. And I know you normally get chills and like shaking during and after labor, but these chills were more severe than what I had when I was in labor with Brie. I think just because of everything that happened. The chills were so bad. I was shaking. My muscles were in pain because I was shaking so bad. I was so cold. I had to ask them to put like 10 heated blankets on me, and it still didn't do shit. But eventually they kind of wore off. I'm guessing it was like maybe 15, 20 minutes of terrible chills. Then they wore off. I woke up at 9:30. Blood transfusion was over. I was finally able to talk and be like a little bit alert. My doctor came in. She explained everything to me. She said they will come back in about 4 hours to take out the catheter, which they did in 4 hours. She said I wouldn't need to have another blood transfusion, but she did want me to get an iron drip. So I had Tabitha on Sunday. Monday, I did get an iron drip, and that was that. So that was pretty much the worst of it. So Sunday night was fine. The rest of my stay Monday, and then Tuesday was fine. Nothing happened. Everything was good. I was very tired though. Didn't get much sleep. You never get much sleep really in the hospital after you have a baby. That's kind of the norm. Me being very tired and feeling kind of depressed because I had some issues with feeling kind of like bluesy and depressed after I had the baby and when we first came home from the hospital. But other than that, as far as like the physical stuff goes, that was it. Nothing more scary. But that stuff, you guys, was very, very scary. I don't even know if I want to have another baby, just because I know when you have postpartum hemorrhage, which again was what I had, you are at risk for another one. But you do have to just let your medical staff know during your pregnancy that, hey, I had this before, so we have to make sure that it's being watched out for. Obviously, I probably would need an iron supplement, which, as you guys know, I didn't take iron with, let me move you guys closer. As you guys know, I did not take iron with my pregnancy because it made me sick. I vomited all the time, but they sent me home with iron, which I've been perfect on. I've been taking it every day, no problem. So yeah, I'm taking that iron because I don't want to get anemic again. Although I think it was just a pregnancy thing that made me anemic. But yeah, that experience was very scary, but thank God I survived it. I didn't die or anything. They had to take the baby to the nursery while that was going on because it was crazy. But that was very scary. That was some scary shit, you guys. I don't want that to ever happen again, and I don't wish that on anyone. But luckily, after that was over, the rest of this day was good. You know, I got to bond with the baby. She was breastfeeding good. Everything was pretty much good, other than not getting much sleep, but that's kind of the norm. So we came home from the hospital on Tuesday, March 21st. Since coming home from the hospital, I have had some issues, kind of, but nothing that I would say was severe. I have been dealing with a little bit of depression and anxiety since I got home from the hospital, but that might just be normal. I don't know. I think they said it was normal, but you got to keep an eye on it to make sure that it's going to go away, because if it doesn't, that could be a problem. I have been dealing with that, but I thought maybe it was just because it's my second baby, and you know, when you have a baby, they said it was kind of normal to feel bluesy and whatever. I've been dealing with a lot of headaches, eye pressure, eye pain, a lot of just pain in that region, which I was worried for a bit. It might be preeclampsia maybe. But they said in the hospital my blood pressure was pretty good, so I don't think it's that. I thought it might be low iron, because with low iron you also get headaches. But then I was like, well, I'm taking my supplements, so why would I have that? You know, I don't know what it is, but they are getting a little better. They were pretty bad the first week and a half postpartum, but I can say that they are getting better. I still have headaches, but they are getting better for the most part. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed. I don't think it's preeclampsia. I do go back in, at this point, probably about 4 weeks for a postpartum checkup. So if there's any concerns, I'll bring it up to them. I don't think I have to go in sooner. But yeah, since coming in from the hospital, it's just been the headaches, feeling kind of bluesy. But other than that, I mean, I haven't been having a lot of issues down there. The recovery down below was pretty good. Not a lot of burning, no constipation, no UTIs as of yet, knock on wood. Like I said, I didn't tear, so the recovery down there was pretty good. I did go out and buy a bunch of like ice maxi pads and a bunch of stuff that I probably didn't need. The Freedom Mom stuff that I showed you guys in my labor bag. But it's better to be prepared than not prepared. But they do give you a lot of it in the hospital, but that's okay. So yeah, I mean, the recovery down there was pretty good. The main things for me was just the hemorrhage scare. And then when we came home, the headaches and feeling a little bit bluesy. But like I said, the blues or depression, whatever you call it, and then the headaches, they are getting better. I know how to like manage it and stuff. And I think I know that when I don't get a lot of sleep, that kind of makes both of them worse, I think. But yeah, the recovery hasn't been too bad. But basically that is it for my labor and my delivery story. I had really wanted to film a vlog of me having the baby, but I kind of knew it wasn't going to work out, and it didn't, but that's okay. So I filmed, for sure, definitely wanted to film this labor and delivery story for you guys, to tell you guys how everything happened, what went down. And yeah, you got to meet Tabitha. So that's about it, you guys. I hope that you guys have been doing well. I will be getting back into like the food videos very soon. It's just been crazy, you know, with a newborn baby and a toddler and all that stuff. She's feeding right now. She's so adorable. She is such a good baby, you guys. She's content, just like her mama was when she was a baby. And it's so crazy how her, Brie, and me are all Pisces. That's interesting. I think that's so cool. But yeah, you guys, that's about it. Like I said, I will be getting back into the food videos very soon, so stay tuned. And I'm going to be adding some more like mom content, and then like baby content, and just lifestyle content to this channel, because I know that you guys like that as well. But if there's any kind of specific video that you guys want me to do, whether it be food, lifestyle, just let me know. I can definitely make that for you guys. And I'm sorry this video was so long, but that's my labor and delivery story. So thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, and I forgot to mention that both Tabitha and Briella had their doctor's appointment yesterday. They are both growing really good. When Tabitha was born, she was 6'4". When we left the hospital, she was 5.13. yesterday, her doctor's appointment, they said that she is up to 7 pounds. So this girl is growing great. I do breastfeed her and occasionally give formula, but that's only if we really need to. I prefer to just breastfeed her like I did with Brie, but she's growing amazing. Their appointment was perfect yesterday, so they're both doing great. And so yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video, leave any comments, questions below, subscribe if you're not already. Hope you all enjoyed this story, and until next time, bye guys.